It is Rams week. It's playoff week. It's divisional round week. And I am so pumped up. I know you are as well. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and coming up on today's show, everything you need to watch for. A viewing guide for this Eagles-Rams game coming your way at Lincoln Financial Field on Sunday. And speaking of that game, myself and producer Chip, we will be live for another watch party. Our coverage begins with a 90-minute pregame show, hour and a half before kickoff. So be sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon, turn on your notifications, and join us as we get it started at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. How does the weather impact this game? There is potential snow in the forecast in South Philadelphia for this divisional round game. There could be around an inch, maybe a little bit more. Of course, the weather changes by the minute, by the hour, by the day, especially up there in the Northeast. It's very unpredictable, but snow could play a role in this game. And if there is snow at the link, I think that does favor Philadelphia. Kiren Williams has only 2 runs this season of 20-plus yards. He was top 10 in rushing yards, but he's not an explosive runner. Saquon Barkley is. And if it snows, if the field gets a little bit wet and sloppy and slippery, teams are going to have to find success on the ground. And the pass game will be altered. And so I give the edge there to the Eagles. I also think Philadelphia is better along the offensive line and the defensive line as compared to the Rams. And Matthew Stafford has not fared well in the cold throughout his career. So that's something to look out for. Number 2, how does this Eagles passing game fare against the Rams? It has to be better. I want to see Kellen Moore be more exotic. I want to see Kellen Moore be more creative. I want to see the routes be less predictable and less vanilla. I do think that partially Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni erred on the side of caution, and they were more conservative because they knew Jalen Hurts hadn't played in a month, and that defense was balling. They had forced 3 turnovers, 1 more on special teams. They were up 4-0 in the turnover battle. That game was close, so why be aggressive when you don't have to? I will say that when I went back and watched the game, I don't really think it came down to Hurts missing reads, and we know that sometimes he can miss his reads. He can struggle to go through his progressions. He can lock on to guys. He can bail out of the pocket a little bit too early and sometimes move off his guy, but nobody was getting open. And nobody was getting open because the Packers knew what was coming, and they covered up these very simple routes. A.J. Brown can't have just 1 target. He has to be targeted more. And the Rams have missed the 7th most tackles in the NFL this year. So put Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert in a spot where they can be successful in picking up yards after the catch and force the Rams, a dome team playing in a warm climate, to tackle you in the cold and play bully ball. Number 3, Quinyon Mitchell, Darius Slay, and Cooper DeJean against Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, when he's playing his best, is one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. He might be the best quarterback in the NFC. Puka Nacua had more than 100 targets this year. So too did Cooper Kupp. Nacua is a really strong wide receiver who isn't flashy with the speed, but he's so hard to bring down, has great hands, and can come down with contested catches. Cooper Kupp has been a workhorse throughout his career. I definitely think that he's on the downside of his career. Still had more than 100 targets like Nacua. They both missed some time, but he's just not the same quick player, but he can still get the job done. And him and Matthew Stafford had this innate feel for where they're going to be, and they had that great connection. Nacua in Week 12 against the Eagles had 9 catches for 117 yards. 8 of those catches, pre-snap motion with Nacua on the move. That is a staple of this Sean McVey offense, is pre-snap motion, eye candy, window dressing to try to exploit and confuse the defense. This Eagles defense, stopping Kiren Williams, it's going to be a big key in this game, especially if the weather plays a role. And Sean McVay a few years ago, his teams really struggled to run it. They have invested in the offensive line. They found a good running back. And their ability to run it successfully has made them more multiple. It's opened up the play action. It's aided the pass game. Now, Philadelphia's fared very well against some of the top running backs in the league. They stopped Derrick Henry and kept him in check. They have faced Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs twice, Bucky Irving, Rico Dowdle, Kiren Williams before, and Najee Harris. The task isn't any different going up against Kiren Williams once again. Stop the run, get pressure on Matthew Stafford. You do that, good chance you win the turnover battle. Your defense plays well, and you're victorious in this game. For Williams, he is 7th in rushing yards, but he only has 2 carries of 20-plus yards. Saquon, in one game against the Rams, had 2 touchdowns for 70-plus yards. Williams is also a fumbling machine. He has 5 fumbles this year. Ball security is a problem. Again, think back to the weather, common theme in this game, including 2 earlier this year against the Eagles. A big matchup is going to be Rams tight end Tyler Higbee coming off that ACL, MCL injury against the Eagles linebackers after Nakobe Dean's injury. Oren Burks really struggles in coverage, and when you see that on tape once, you start to attack him a lot. Zach Bond has been terrific in coverage, but Oren Burks is going to be the weak link. And so I'm curious to see how Vic Fangio manages the linebacker rotation between Burks and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Burks is the experienced player. This is his 7th year. For Trot, it's his first, but I think Trot is better against the pass, more instinctual, plays with better feel. I actually think he might be the better option. And look at how his fellow rookies have fared. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, they played awesome. I think Trotter can as well. If you think the Eagles will beat the Rams, I want you to type FLA or beat LA down in the comment section if you don't like the curse, but I also want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Our sponsor for today's show, our friends at Game Time, the best app in the ticketing marketplace. And we know it's a very competitive marketplace, but what sets Game Time apart from all of the other apps? Best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. Prices drop as the event gets closer. You have the Game Time guarantee, where if you find a price that is lower elsewhere, Game Time will credit you up to 110% of the difference. Their flash deals and zone deals are awesome. I do suggest, too, you toggle the all-in pricing tool. Therefore, you don't get hit with any surprise fees at checkout. One of my favorite parts of this app, it's very consistent. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You can access tickets from your phone, easily resell your tickets. There are tickets available for Eagles-Rams at the link on Sunday. So download the app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of today's show. Thanks to Game Time Picks, curation makes it easier to find the best seats to your favorite events. We move forward on today's show. More keys, more things to look out for. A guide for Eagles-Rams. This Eagles defensive line against this Rams offensive line. Back in Week 12, the Eagles held the Rams to 0 of 8 on third downs, and the Eagles were able to manufacture pressure on Matthew Stafford. They had 5 sacks of Stafford in that game. And the Rams, they've suffered a lot of injuries along the offensive line. They are healthy now, but they have had 9 offensive linemen start games for them this year. They gave up 31 sacks. That was 6th best in the NFL. Sounds good, right? But Matthew Stafford also does a really good job of getting rid of the ball quickly. And the Rams' pass protection with the advanced numbers, they are 30th in pass blocking according to Pro Football Focus. While they haven't given up that many sacks, they've given up 172 pressures. That is the 12th most among 32 teams. And their third down offense, Eagles held them to 0 of 8 back in Week 12. Rams, 36%, they're moving the chains. That's 25th among 32 teams. This is also pretty interesting. The Rams have a rookie kicker, Joshua Carty. He was 29 of 34 this year, 32 of 36 on PATs. But how about this? The Rams played 5 outdoor games this season, and Carty had 3 misses. Of course, Jake Elliott is a concern for the Eagles as well, but with weather playing a role, being outdoors in a cold climate, that could impact Carty more than Jake Elliott, who's familiar with the friendly confines of Lincoln Financial Field. And we saw a player like Brandon McManus last week for the Packers. He kicked his collegiate career games at the link with Temple. Went wide right on that big kick for Green Bay. Next up, Sean McVey against Vic Fangio. Sean McVey, one of the best play callers and play designers in the entire National Football League. The fingerprints of his offense all across the NFL. He's a great offensive mind. And then you have Vic Fangio, old school type of defensive guy whose defense is number one in the NFL, and he has overseen a dramatic leap in change from what we saw last year when the Eagles were bottom three in pretty much every single category, and now they're the number one overall defense. Who wins the battle? Will it be McVey or Vic Fangio? The experience for Fangio helps, but McVay's experienced as well. And if you love the game of football, the chess match between these two minds, offensive mind for McVay, defensive mind for Vic Fangio, going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then there's Sean McVay against Nick Sirianni. Sean McVay has won 60% of his games. Nick Sirianni has won 70% of his games. And I think game management could be really critical here. It's so funny to see the national discourse on Sirianni when in the regular season he is now 47-20, 48-20. He's won 14 games 2 of the last 3 years. And look, if he's able to win this game, that means that in 2022, he beat Kyle Shanahan head-to-head. This year he beat Matt LaFleur head-to-head and Sean McVay head-to-head. If you ask casuals across the league, who would you rather have? They'd all go those coaches over Nick Sirianni, yet he's winning these head-to-heads. It's pretty impressive what Sirianni's doing. And a critical game management decision could sway this game if it's close. The Rams' rushing defense against the Eagles' rushing offense. Rams really struggled against the run this year. The Rams back in Week 12 could not contain or stop Saquon Barkley. Saquon ran for 255 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Eagles as a team ran for more than 300 yards. They averaged 7 yards per carry. This Rams defense, they have been really good over the last month and change, but I don't think they've played a team the caliber of the Philadelphia Eagles. And so when I think about this game, Eagles have more talent. They're at home. They have the rest advantage. The weather plays a role, and I just think they're the better team. And I think that the Eagles, if they get up early in this game, they seize momentum, they could run away with it and dominate them. So who you got? LAR for the Rams, PHI for the Philadelphia Eagles. Get those game predictions in right now.